Hello, my name is Max Coleman. I'm a student in Asia 1102, and this is a deep dive in the Japanese digital entertainment. The entertainment industry in Japan is thriving. According to the government of Japan's official website, Japanese entertainment content led by anime enjoys global popularity. The level of the industry's overseas sales currently rivals the export value of the country's steel and semiconductor industries. Pretty cool stuff. They are led by anime, manga, video games, and music. This is separated into three categories in this presentation. Number one being manga and anime, number two being video games, and number three being their music industry. Number one, manga and anime. What is it? Manga are a form of Japanese comics with a wide variety of genres and themes to attract audiences of any age or background, and anime are Japanese animations that are typically adaptations of those manga. What are the differences between manga and American comics? They are very, very, very similar, but there are a few key differences. Manga's panels are read right to left. For Americans, you turn the book over, you read it backwards. It's a little confusing at first, but you get used to it. They're almost always printed in black and white, and are printed as full books with around 200 pages per volume. American comics, on the other hand, are read left to right. Uh, just traditional reading. They're typically printed in flashy colors and are usually printed in magazine style with around 30 pages. You can think of DC Comics and Marvel Comics. The industry is very, very successful. They have an estimated value of 14.7 billion US dollars in 2023. One Piece led the industry with over 500 million copies sold. And outside of Japan in 2023, over 20 million copies of manga were sold in the United States alone. My favorite personally is Chainsaw Man. It's a really cool series, and I've been keeping up with all the physical releases. And it also has a really cool anime adaptation. The anime industry has over 600 million people watching worldwide in 2024. It's worth over 25 billion US dollars. There's around 18,000 different series tailoring to different audiences, and close to 200 of those were produced in 2023. The leader of this charge is Jujutsu Kaisen in 2023, with over 6 million viewers per episode. These are the top 3 most popular anime of all time based on My Anime List, a fan-ran anime site. Number 1 was Attack on Titan. It's an action-packed show about saving humanity from banding titans. You follow Eren, a kid whose mom was eaten by a titan, and his new goal was to kill all the titans. Really cool show, one of my personal favorites. Death Note is in number 2, an intense mystery detective thriller based around a notebook with the powers to kill anyone whose name is written in it. And number 3, Full Metal Alchemist. I haven't actually watched this show, but it's an action show about 2 brothers trying to restore their damaged bodies. Number 2, video games. It's an ever-growing industry, and their 2 biggest pieces of their industry are their JRPGs and their unique gaming consoles. There's a bunch of other stuff, but these are the really 2 big ones. JRPG stands for Japanese Role-Playing Game. They're some of Japan's most popular video games, filled with action-packed adventures, turn-based combat, open-world fights, and more. These are 3 of the most popular JRPG franchises. Pokemon is a no-brainer. You don't even really think of it to be a JRPG because it's just so big of a franchise, it's kind of standalone. It's considered the pioneer of creature collector games. There's not really a close second. It's also one of the most popular game franchises of all time. Final Fantasy is an action-packed fantasy RPG with turn-based combat. And Persona, it was 2024's most popular JRPG franchise, featuring turn-based combat, a fruitful story, and a colorful, vibrant art style. I know Persona 5, which was their release, got many, many awards. Pokemon is my favorite of the 3. It started with Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, which was developed in 1999 on the Game Boy. I was unfortunately not alive during this time when it first came out, but I have played it before, and it is a very fun game that's aged very well. Pokemon Go is an augmented reality GPS game released in 2016, lets you capture Pokemon in real time, and everyone kind of remembers it, had millions of users on the very first day, and it made headlines everywhere. Pokemon Legends Arceus is my personal favorite. Really, really cool game with a much more mature story for Pokemon, and it brought open world combat to the game. Japan is also very well known for their video game consoles, namely from Nintendo and Sony. Their first popular console, not their first console ever, just the first one that made it overseas and really gained traction for the company, was NES. It had games like Super Mario and The Legend of Zelda. Game Boy was considered the pioneer of mobile game consoles. It was the very first one that people really got into, really bought. I don't know if you were alive at the time and you didn't have one in school, you weren't cool. DS was my first console and also my first Nintendo console. It's the most popular game console of all time, or at least Nintendo's most popular game console of all time. It was the same situation there. If you didn't have one, you weren't cool. Uh, the current generation is the Nintendo Switch. Really, really cool console that lets you switch from the TV screen to a mobile screen. It has a lot of really fun games like Zelda Breath of the Wild as well. Sony is the other big name in the Japanese video game console industry. They debuted with the PlayStation, which was immediately very, very popular. It was known for games like Final Fantasy, Gran Turismo, and Metal Gear Solid. They also developed their own version of a mobile game console called the PSP. It wasn't nearly as popular, but it was very innovative for the time. Let you go on the internet, let you browse music. It's kind of like a phone when you didn't have a phone. The PlayStation 2 is the most sold gaming console of all time with over 160 million units sold. And the current generation console with some of the highest rated games of all time was the PlayStation 5. Third and the last category I have is music. J-pop is an energetic, warm, and catchy style of music. I like to think of early 2000s pop with a much softer tone. City pop is a very retro genre inspired by funk, disco, and jazz. It's also my personal favorite genre. And J-rock is Japan's take on the rock industry. Has a lot of really unique tones in comparison to American's rock industry. Bees is the top selling artist in Japan, not just J-pop, but all of Japanese music, with over 48 million albums sold, according to bestsellingalbums.org. Ayumi Hamasaki is one of the best-selling J-pop artists and the best performing solo J-pop artists. I don't know much about her. I haven't listened to much of her music, but I know she is very, very popular. YOASOBI is 2024's most popular J-pop group and my personal favorite on this list. They take a lot of digital instruments and they use a lot of vocal enhanced vocals. Very, very kind of futuristic sounding pop. Very cool. Here are the big names in city pop. Tatsuru Yamashita, also just known as Tatsu, is considered the king of city pop. He is known as the most prominent face of city pop and have some of the most sales in city pop. Maria Takeuchi is considered the queen of city pop, selling over 8 million albums. And Miki Matsubara is my personal favorite. She's a very popular city pop artist that spread influence to the Western Hemisphere. Her main hit song was "Stay with Me." That's really what spread her to the Western Hemisphere, but she has many other great songs as well. And lastly, J-Rock. 10K Rock is one of the biggest groups in J-Rock with large influence. They weren't one of the first ones, but they're what shaped the genre into what it is today. Baby Metal is a very unique take on J-Rock. It combined pop idols and metal and rock themes. So it was very, very, very different, but it gained a lot of traction because of it. And they had many collaborations, not just in Japan, but outside Japan too, with cartoons and other American artists as well. Miss Green Apple is one of the biggest faces in J-Rock in 2024, especially in the Western Hemisphere with their collaborations in the anime industry. To conclude, Japan has one of the most fruitful and unique entertainment industries in the world in a variety of different categories to fit everyone's tastes. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great day.